We want to welcome our listeners from the United States and around the world. It's Another Sunday Podcast. Oh, it's going to be one of those episodes, I think. No, that's staying in, my friend. That we are going to air that. No, that was good. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I am better than I deserve, thank you. I want to welcome some new listeners from Germany this week. And from India. We have. So welcome to our new listeners. Thank you very much for listening. Before we get started, if you would indulge me a moment, I'd like to do a little bit of a PSA, kind of on a serious topic. You asked me how I was doing. I'm doing well. It's been a good week. We'll tell you what's going on around here, and but I want to talk about, I have an appointment coming up for a routine colonoscopy. And as you know, and some of our listeners know, I've had several of these things over the course of the few years. And I think it's important. I wanted to just mention quickly how important it is for people to get a colonoscopy to check for colorectal cancer at the appropriate age, which typically is 50 years of age, unless it's a family history. I believe they will do them at 40, and insurance covers all that stuff. And here's why I say this. A number of years ago, just had turned 50. I think I might have been 51, so I was a little bit late in getting it done. And they discovered what normally happens is either you get a clean bill of health or they find these little polyps. And in my case, they did. They found them and they removed them. They removed all but one. And there was a polyp that they had discovered that was extremely large and concerning to the doctor that performed the procedure, to the point where I needed to go and see a specialist, what they call an interventionist, somebody that has even more tools and more knowledge and more expertise in how to remove these things. Very unusual, I was told, to have a polyp this size. It was about 2.5 inches long, when most of these things are like 1 centimeter, couple centimeters. This had been growing for many years, according to the doctor. And there's no symptoms, typically, for these things. But when you go in for these routine procedures and they find these things, they can remove them, and they test them, of course, biopsy them, make sure they're not cancerous, because they can become cancer. And colon cancer is certainly a very serious disease, and it kills many, many people. So I want to advocate people to go see their doctor, get a routine colonoscopy if you are of that age, or obviously talk to your doctor about that if you have a family history of colon cancer, because had I not done this could have turned into something extremely serious. Luckily, they were able to remove the large polyp and not impact any of my colon or any of my organs, which was a distinct possibility that they could have had to remove parts of my colon because of the size. And so I have another one coming up every year now. I've got to do this until I get that clean bill of health. Hopefully this will be the year. And then it's 5 or 10 years after that. But So just a serious note, little PSA, please consider getting yourself a colonoscopy. It could save your life. Okay. With that said, what's happening in the great state of Alabama? You have some visitors you were telling me about.
Yes, we have a resident gray rat snake that lives up here on the hill where I live. So, and my landlord saw it today, and that joker is got to be every foot or every bit of 5.5 feet long. It's a big snake.
It's a good-sized snake.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times up here, so, but I've named it Big Mama Snake.
You have a history of naming wild animals, don't you?
Yeah, well, we've got a armadillo up here that we see quite a bit, and I've named him Armand, so which I think is a Turkish name, and I think armadillos are Spanish. So, but whatever, it works. So
Armand the armadillo.
Armand the armadillo. And then we see a lot of rabbits, deer. There's other snakes up here that I see from time to time. What else? We got a family of rabbits. We got a bunch of birds up here. There's all kind of things living up here on the hill. So it's kind of nice.
Rabbits are everywhere here. I haven't seen any snakes in a while around my part. Certainly, there are no armadillos up here. I think the last time I saw an armadillo was on the side of the road in Texas. Is it true if they go over this, not hit them, but if the car goes over them, they jump? Or
I've heard that before. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true or not, but I have heard that before. Can't remember when the last time I ran over an armadillo was. But it happens, kind of like possums.
Well, possums don't have the steel. They don't have the protection that an armadillo has, right?
Well, no, but an armadillo is actually. I mean,
the shell. I think I was looking.
The shell is a little brittle. An a possum is tough now. It is difficult to kill one of those things. An armadillo is I don't think an armadillo is as tough as a possum.
Tough in the sense of if you run them over or if you come across them. I mean, possums are vicious.
Yeah.
Vicious.
Well, but
animals.
Either or. So
we had a possum a few years ago in my basement. And we have a heart trap that we set up, and it trapped this possum.
What's a heart trap?
Have a heart trap.
Yeah.
So
what is that?
It's a long cage that has it has two on both ends. So
yeah. Okay, I think I know. But have a heart trap. What does the name come from?
Well, it doesn't kill the animal.
Oh,
so it's like you have a heart, it's humane.
Okay.
So it's the critter gets in there, and the both end once it steps on the trigger there, it closes both ends and it kind of traps him in the cage.
Okay, yeah.
And you can pick it
like
up
a catch him alive trap.
It's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
We call them have a heart traps.
Okay,
and so possums are nocturnal, right? So I brought this baby up from. I won't call him baby. He was not a small possum. Brought him up from the basement and put him outside like I was going to take him to an area in town that's very wooded.
Downtown.
Swampy. The wooded area in town. And once he hit that sunlight, my God, he was not a happy camper. And he did everything he could to get out of that trap. And once I brought him to the area and set it down, I put a little string on it and just opened it up, and off he goes. And in fact, we caught a skunk in the trap in the backyard one time, and the skunk was I guess if the skunk's tail can't raise up, he can't spray. So there was no odor, and he was big enough that the trap contained him, and he wasn't able to lift his tail to spray. So there's no odor, but what he was doing was, when we trapped him overnight and we saw him the next day, he filled the trap with dirt. He got his little paw, or whatever, and claws, and he pulled this dirt into the trap. The thing weighed, like 300 pounds. And it took two of us to lift this thing to get him to the wooded area to let him go. He just brought all this dirt into the trap. It was crazy. And again, he was not a happy camper to be in that trap. But we have had some coyote sightings in the neighborhood here over the last few months. And typically they stay away from people, although there was a coyote attack somewhere in Massachusetts not too long ago. And coming home one night, I saw this dog, quote, dog, in the middle of the street. And I went, whose dog's off the leash? At like 11 o'clock at night, and as I'm driving down the street and I got closer, I went, oh, that's no dog. And so I just kind of drove the car slowly and just kind of moved him and then he bolted into somebody's backyard. But
probably where their kids were.
Or animals. There's been a lot of missing cats. Tabby is missing. Has anybody seen Tabby? And I would say go find Wile E. Coyote, and you probably will find Tabby. But we're seeing a lot of that happening now around here because I think it's just building so many of these apartment complexes and things in the neighborhood and in the town that they're just probably driving the wild animals out into the into the neighborhoods. And I think that in the pandemic with people not out on the streets and, not in the woods. And I know they had an issue in Yosemite where animals were coming out to where tourists used to camp and whatnot because they weren't there during the pandemic. So they were having an issue with them kind of migrating into these new areas. So,
did they make them pay the camping and parking fee?
I would... if you want to take a trip up there and ask them, just bring your microphone. I'd like to hear what they have to say. And maybe you screaming. But they might have a season pass also. I don't know.
Could be, yeah.
Hey, speaking of season passes, this week, finally, after 8 years, I am the proud co-owner of Bruins season tickets, Boston Bruins hockey season tickets.
All right.
And I am excited for the 2021-2022 season. Put a deposit down about 8 years ago and was offered seats 2 years after on the waiting list. The second year that I was on the waiting list, offered seats, and there was nothing. They had certain rules and quantities and things like that, and it did not. I just wasn't eligible to purchase tickets, even though my name popped up. So I wasn't able to purchase them then, so I just put me back on the waiting list, and then 6 years later, being this year, I have been offered season tickets. So, well, I'm excited about that. So my friend Paul and I will, we have, I believe, 44 games, is 41 regular season games and 3 preseason games. And we'll probably go to most. I think he and I will go to most of the games, and then there'll be times when he may want to take his wife, or I may want to take some friends, or even donate a pair of tickets or something to one of our charities. But I'm excited. I've been a hockey fan all my life, so have traveled around and seen various teams play. So it'd be nice to finally be a season ticket holder. So I'm excited about that. What you got going on over there?
Oh, not much.
Enjoying your time off now that you're out of school?
Yes. Although I've been working a lot, so it's not really time off. But
Any plans on vacations, traveling, or?
yeah, some here and there throughout the summer, but nothing definitive as of now.
Place special? I know you just come back. You told us last week and came back from Pennsylvania.
Yep. That is a special place. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully get back up there at some point this summer. But other than that, I don't really like to go out a whole bunch of places. I don't know. It's kind of, even with everything open back up now, and I like to just kind of sit here, at the house and work around the house and, hang out and just be here. I don't really like going out a lot or, going to see a bunch of things. I kind of like just staying here at the house.
A staycation.
Yes, I'm all about a staycation.
Those aren't too bad. I know when I traveled for work and did the photography business and traveled all over the U.S. and Canada and, 8 months, 10 months a year for 8 years, people would say, oh, what are you going to do in your downtime? Where are you going on vacation? It's like, home.
Yeah.
Haven't been home in 10 and a half months. It would be
right.
nice to spend a month and a half home. That would be my vacation.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff to do at the house. And things there's a lot of projects to work on around the house. Stuff like you got to cut the grass and, maybe work on that, on the fixing up the house that, projects like that haven't been addressed or whatever, because you've been so busy working, So, and it's nice to just kind of hang around the house and work on those things a lot of times. And, you can work and listen to music and, kind of do what you want to.
Even if you're sitting on the veranda, on the porch swing, just relaxing.
Yep.
Playing the banjo. What's the instrument that Charlie Brown, was it Charlie Brown or somebody on the Peanuts characters played? Snoopy. What was the little instrument that Snoopy? What do they call that with the looks like a U and it's got the little wire, I guess, the little twanger thing.
Oh, and you stick it in your mouth. That's called the jaw harp. I've got one. Yeah, I just found it a little while ago. I had one, I guess, they were kind of popular maybe in the 18th century or whatever. And there was a company that does reenactment stuff that was selling them. Sometimes you can buy them, like if you go to a historical park or something in the gift shop, they'll have them. That may be where I got this one. I can't remember. And I don't even know if I'm playing it right, but
can you give our listeners a little taste of what a jaw harp sounds like for those that don't know?
Let me see if I can give it a go. I don't know. You got to. I can't play a tune on it or anything, but I think that's how it's supposed to sound and how it's supposed to be played. You got to run your finger across that thing to make that little spring buzz like that, and when it hit the mic.
Well, folks can go out on YouTube and search for jaw harp, and they'll see what that is. But I believe Snoopy in the Peanuts, right? Snoopy used to play that. But you could do that when you're sitting on the veranda in the old swinging rocking chair or whatever, whittling Whitland?
Mhm.
Is it
It's like there's a guy on YouTube, and he does. I think he's actually like a country singer. Maybe Granger Smith or somebody like that. But he does these videos on YouTube, and it's called Earl Dibbles Jr. I don't know. Some of our listeners may have already seen this or whatever, but he kind of does that thing where he goes through all the things that he does in a day or whatever as Earl Dibbles Jr. And it's things like, sit on a log, whittle a good stick, put a good dip in.
it's I'm sure it's relaxing. It's probably much better than me spending my vacation, just kind of sitting on the porch, looking at the street light across the street. The mosquitoes and the moths, right? So, anyway. Hey, we digress. Hey, we're at the end of episode number 27 here. We have some interesting guests. Again, we talked about our paranormal show that should be coming up very soon. We have a date to record with our guest that's going to talk about the shaving razors. And a couple other interesting shows upcoming. Of course, our Father's Day show is coming up on the 20th of June. And for the 4th of July, I think we're going to talk about some reenactment stuff that you and Dad have done over the years, and we can talk about the Independence Day holiday for that weekend. So some interesting things coming up for our listeners. If you, the listener, would like to be on the show, by all means, we would love to have you. You can drop us a line, an email, at itsanothersundaypodcast@gmail.com. Or if you know somebody that would be an interesting guest, email us at itsanothersundaypodcast@gmail.com. So once again, to our listeners, thank you for listening. To our new listeners, welcome. And with that said, final word to you, my friend.
Roll with the changes.
That's going to do it for episode number 27 of It's Another Sunday Podcast. Music in the podcast is composed and performed by Tom Blaze. Check out Tom Blaze's YouTube channel at Tom Blaze. Until next week, thanks for listening.